You're listening to Heroes in the Moment.
What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
Today, ANDOR episode 10 and 11.
Both of them, baby, in one.
I know, both in one. Sorry we
deal.
couldn't get them both individually, but we had I had a little mini vacation I went on, and then we just had scheduling conflicts. So we're bringing it to you now, bringing both episode 10 and 11. And I must say, episode 10 was wow.
Yeah.
So good, dude.
Dude, it's up there with episode 6.
It is.
Like, it really is. As good as 6 was, dude.
Episode
10, the whole prison break, man.
So good.
Dude, Andy Serkis.
His
acting. Oh, my goodness,
Lloyd,
dude.
my man. I love him.
So good, man. I love
him.
10. 10 was definitely my favorite. I said
10
that about, I think, 9, but 10 was my favorite now.
10 was amazing. I absolutely adored episode 10. It was just so good. It was, action-packed. It was entertaining. It was well done, well written.
Stakes were high.
Stakes were super high.
Acted really well by everybody.
Very good. So we'll get into it and break it down a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about the Mon Mothma brief scene that is in it, and then we'll go into the prison break.
Got you.
So we see Mon Mothma is having a conversation with, of course, what's his name?
Tay? Is this Tay? Yeah.
Tay, and then who brings in the one sus dude, right?
Yeah, he's the very sketchy, quote-unquote, banker, right?
Yes.
Who illegally helps people move around money in their accounts.
Right. And Mon Mothma...
The Empire's striking down on them.
Yes. And Mon Mothma didn't want to work with him, period, anyway, but she realizes the need for him.
Yeah.
But then... he's like, oh, I don't want any money. And she's like, take my money.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want debts.
Yeah, I don't want debts.
And I completely get that.
Yeah, he's a shady dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like what she say, like she's desperate now, right? Like she needs $400,000 in her account because, the Empire is going to take a look at it really soon.
Right.
And she's a senator that's going to it's going to look terrible. She doesn't want to rise suspicion. She's like, I need this money.
Right.
Move discreetly ASAP. And he's like, you know what? I don't want your money. I'm like, all right, then what he wants.
What does he want? And it actually kind of shocked me what he did want, and that being the fact that he wants his son to be betrothed to her daughter.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Well,
to
he
me.
said just the introduction.
Right.
I was like, wow.
I was like, and you know what that meant, right?
Yeah.
Like he wants her to marry him.
That was...
I'm like, that's like some...
I was thrown off.
Game of Thrones level
medieval
stuff right there.
type
Yeah.
stuff. Well, I mean, it makes sense because early in the conversation, remember when they were talking about the history of the Chandrillan marriages and stuff? I was like, why is he bringing up the history
all this
of
stuff,
marriage?
for sure.
But I feel like this was coming honestly from a good place. I think he recognizes who he is and the circles he runs in. I think he's trying to give a better life to his son. So I think he's trying to because she's a senator, trying to give a better life for him. I don't think it's out of a place of trying to save his own skin.
But then again, she already knows, Mon Mothma, poor Mon Mothma, she already knows her daughter does not really like her that much now.
Oh, she's not vibing with her at all.
It's a typical teenage daughter mother
she's
situation.
She's 14,
right? That's
teenager.
every teenage daughter and mother. It's just part of it. But to this extent, to where she may have to marry someone she doesn't love or know, and that Mon Mothma may have to force that upon her
for the greater good of what she's fighting for.
Her daughter's never gonna want to see her again, never gonna love her again. That's how severity this is.
I know. I mean, obviously, that's assuming that they're forced to marry. We know at least that she agrees there. At least will be an introduction, but I think the implications and the pressure will be very heavy. But like you said, I think that brings about a really cool part of the show. We're seeing in these episodes, these people have to sacrifice for the Empire. Like the whole thing with Krieger and 31 men weighing their deaths and everything, as we see later on. It's like, what do you want to sacrifice? In this case, it's a daughter's marriage.
Thing that I really do love about this show is it goes in and it goes deep about the real effects of war and the real effects of rebellion and the cause and effects of those situations. That's one aspect of the show that it's been captured really well.
Realistic.
It's very realistic, very realistic for a Star Wars show. Like I said in previous episodes, I didn't like the fact that it goes so deep. It's like I'm watching real life in some senses. Yeah. But this, in this sense, was really cool. Yeah. And made me feel something there. So I did enjoy that. And this episode in itself was amazing, and I loved it. So, all right. So now we got to go to the part that, of course, we want to talk about and we need to talk about. And that being the breakout scene, right? The whole remaining of the episode, the majority of the episode spent the breakout scene. Of course, the episode's called One Way Out, and there was only one way out. They're shouting it, and it's it was so beautiful,
inspirational.
Man. It was.
I felt like running out of my bedroom shouting that. To be honest, one way I'll break down my door,
to like go
drink a Monster,
shoot some guards, and drink some
put
water,
on a little prison suit,
dude. For sure, like
jump in the water.
I wanted that experience. Yeah, man. For sure. It was really captivating to me, and just such a good episode. Like you see. Andor, of course, he's like, it has to happen today. Like, I've never really seen that in many things. Most of the time, they spend quite a bit of time planning. They're like weeks on weeks on weeks. I think of mostly Prison Break, where they spend a ton of time building up to them breaking out. Spoiler. But it goes into, that's literally the name of the show. But then it goes to here.
Yeah.
And he's like, we got to do it today.
Yeah, he's like, there's not a better chance for tomorrow. Like, there's a low number of guards. Right. Someone's coming in tomorrow. And, that's played up by the fact that, obviously, Andy Serkis' character, he's more reserved.
Right. He's still like, exactly. I don't know,
like,
man.
I want to think about it.
I'm risking
But the fact
everything.
that he agrees to it just shows you, like, there was no better time.
There was no better time. And not only that, it shows because, prior to this episode, he was so content about, getting out in just 200 shifts or whatever.
Yeah, 200 shifts.
200 shifts.
He's looking out for himself.
And part of that time, he still believed he had just 200 shifts.
Hope.
In this. He still had that hope.
Yeah.
But now that he's seeing, he's like, there is no way out.
Yeah.
Now
they're just like moving the prisoners around, making up their sentences. Like they're not ever really
they're
letting
never
them go.
Only getting out.
And they killed 100 men, like they said, to stop that from getting out.
And that's why, of course, later we see him make the speech to the entire prison that there is one way out. There's only one way, and it's such a good character development for Kino Loy. Like I love his character, man. Like such a good character, a welcome one, man.
I know, dude. It was so good. Like
at
you
first,
said,
I remember him being introduced. What was it, episode 8? Right.
Yeah.
Him being introduced in episode 8, and I was like, Eddie Sir, what's he doing here? I thought he was Snoke, or something like that. And I've seen a lot of weird theories about this guy, that how Kino Loy is still Snoke.
Really?
I'll talk about that here in a few minutes.
I guess it's possible.
It is possible, but anyway, I at first I was like, what's he doing here? And I was like, okay, he's just this douchebag, kind of like, prison character. He's a prisoner, but he's also running things similar to like, of course, we see that in many other things in real life too has happened, and you don't like him, and then of course you slowly see that character develop in such a well executed way to where he's like of course the ending of episode 9 that I adored, where he's like there's only 12, right? There's only ever 12. And you see that change, and then this episode he's still hesitant, but then he goes all the way to one way out. And you realize, I get chill bumps just thinking about it, because he's like, I gotta do this is my only way. And of course it doesn't actually work out, which is unfortunate, but it worked out for everybody else, and it shows his selflessness.
I wonder what happened to him.
That's my thing. I hope we see it in the next episode.
Thing,
really,
he might have been the only person that stayed on.
Yes. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. The theories of Snoke and all that crap.
All right, but there really is a lot of similarities, Michael, between him and Andor, because
there is
initially. They're selfish characters. Like really, they look out for themselves, and they don't really care about the others. They might take on jobs, to improve, for money, to improve whatever they have.
Right.
But like by the end of their character developments, you see that they become the care for the people around them and become a leader. Right. So they're very similar.
Honestly, like I think Kino's character development was better than Andor's. I still think that.
I agree.
From the points I brought up in episode 9, check back to there to see what I said about the character development that I did not appreciate for Andor. I just think Kino's was better written and executed through this episode.
Well, he only had like 3 episodes, right? And Andor's had a movie in 11 episodes so far.
So they accomplished all that in those 3 episodes in such a great way.
Yeah.
In my opinion, better than even Andor, who's got 11 episodes.
I think so too, man.
So we'll see what happens from there. So of course they enact the plan. Of course, Andor breaks into his plumbing system. And floods the hall. Gets out, which was genius.
I was wondering why he was doing that initially, because it never, outright said what was happening. I'm like, all right, water on the floor. Wouldn't that be worse if like things are sparking up?
Well, that's what they did. They electrocuted the floor, and then of course until they got to take out the what do you call it, electrical box or whatever. They wouldn't do that anymore. So that's still like, I guess it's just to get their attention and to make. I don't really know.
I think like when they turned on the floor and the water was there, I think it like kind of circuited like the system. Is what I think happened.
Oh, that's that. Yeah,
because like it was only on like briefly, and then it hit the water and it stopped. So.
And probably to like stop it to where like this floor couldn't get a hold of another floor maybe or something.
Yeah, and that part is cool because then you see the realization on the guard's face, and all the prisoners are like they're no longer held captive by that floor.
And I think it was so cool too because these prisoners are picking up everything they can get and just
chucking. And they got guns,
and they're climbing up there, and then they're taking them out. And of course, I like how the new prisoner was straight up. He didn't even he just straight up went to fight, man. I was like, all right. I mean, he died, unfortunately.
He had no idea what was going on.
He was just like, dude, I'm in, man. I don't know y'all, but I love y'all.
MVP.
Get me out of here. I was in here for 3 seconds. I'm out.
Like, literally.
Of course, he didn't get out, unfortunately.
Rip.
But they get up out of the platform. They get some weapons, and they get Andy Serkis' character, Keno Lloyd, over the intercoms to make sure everybody was in. Yeah. Everybody would be getting breakout, which I'm not sure if everybody complied. It showed the 4 that did, but it didn't show all of them. So I'm not sure if they all complied.
As far as we know, like the guards are either dead or they're in hiding.
For sure.
And the power is off. So I saw no reason like why they couldn't just leave.
Right. And also that guard in that control room was such a jerk, man. I just wanted to shoot him.
I want to slap him.
I know. Dude. Like he was just like, no. And the other dude was like, right there. It's like, frick you, man.
No, dude. No, like, honestly, dude, like, Serkis, like, he did the right thing. Just walks and shoots that dude to show he's not playing. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, dude, respect.
I mean, they deserve that.
It makes me think, like, what did Keno do to get in there? Did he actually kill some people? What did he do?
I know.
I don't
know. We're probably going to find out.
You never know. But that was really cool. And then, of course, they jump. I keep saying, of course. I hate that word. But anyway, they jump off of the ship thingy, I guess, the prison.
That was just weird. They just had one random opening to the water, you know?
Yeah, they did.
It's like, I would have blocked off every exit if I was the guards. But
they probably, remember they got to the control room, they took it, so they couldn't really do that.
Too much pride.
For sure. So they jump off of this, and Andor has this emotional kind of interaction with Keno to where Keno says he can't swim, but unfortunately Andor's pushed off to where he can't see that, and then of course Keno's fate's left up in the air.
Because like we said, you know, for sure there's still a low number of guards.
Right.
Are there still people? Maybe. So what's gonna happen?
I just felt so bad. I was like, he can't even swim to get out of his fate. Like,
I know.
I felt like horrible.
All that work.
I would have tried. I would have jumped onto Andor, man. I would have let straight up.
Well, I mean, plus when you think about it too, like all these people, for the most part, had no idea who each other were. Like all these different floors are interacting, and they've never had a conversation.
Right.
But it's still inspirational because they were helping them up, giving them guns. Like they were united right under that one cause. So in the case that the manager, like the leader, couldn't swim, I feel like some people would have tried to help him. Man.
I know. But, like I think Andor for sure would have if he didn't get pushed off. But he got pushed off and Keno stayed out of fear.
I'm worried about him.
I am worried, but that leads me to the theory that's floating around. It's not my theory. Personally, I think it's not true.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to talk about. So, of course, we know Andy... Of course. Okay, we know...
Naturally.
I know. Andy Serkis plays Snoke in the sequel trilogy. So the theory goes that they use experimentations. They take Keno Loy after the revolt and commit him to separate like scientific stuff and like break him down and do all these kind of things and
take his hair out,
that kind of stuff. And we do see like in the Mandalorian, you see like the clone of Snoke in a way in there. So there's a theory that was him, and then they clone him, and that ends up being Snoke in like a Force sensitive clone or something. I don't know. I personally think it's stupid and far fetched.
I know. I mean, they're prison guards. Right. The Empire would need to know. Come in there, choose. Oh, by the way, let's make our leader.
It would be different if it was like a flipping Jedi that they were doing this stuff too. But I mean, Keno Loy for just trying to escape.
Well, then again, if they're able to come to the conclusion that Keno was the leader, and he was like, they might be impressed,
and maybe
by the fact that he galvanized like 5,000 people to escape with all the security. They might not know about Andor being there.
Who knows? Maybe he's got some Force sensitivity somewhere in there. I don't know.
They're like, let's capitalize off this.
We'll
make it a good thing. We'll see. So. I do agree. I think it's far fetched, but I mean, I think we've seen
far things before, so
we've seen stranger things.
We have seen stranger things. As Steve Harrington the whole time in the final episode of season 5. Yes, I've seen stranger things. What can I say? Honestly, I would cry. I would cry. All right, so then we see Luthen, who has an inside man in the Empire, doing some bidding. Of course, this inside man,
Lonnie. Did he just did he lose his hair? Like, was it a wig, Luthen? Because in the other
it's a wig.
Was it a wig the whole time? Oh, I was about to say, like, his hair's all mad.
Remember in the like the 4th episode, like he puts on that wig to go into Coruscant.
I forgot. I was just throwing
it's
off.
A wig, but he's talking to this guy, and this guy's all intimidated by Luthen. I'm like, what's Luthen done in his past? And episode 11 reinforces that.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about him in episode when we get into episode 11.
Lonnie with a stash.
Yeah, I liked him. I was like,
I feel like that would be me, low key.
I'd vibe with him.
Yeah.
But he's providing information.
Yeah, 6 years working with the ISB.
6 years.
I could not imagine the stress that would take. Like, he's on the verge of a mental breakdown. He's like, I got a daughter now. I can't do this no more.
Right.
And he's just like, you ain't got no other choice, boy. Get back to work.
I know, get back to work. Like, this is what you must do.
No sympathy. And then he's like, what have you sacrificed?
And
then Luthen goes on a rant.
I love Luthen, but like, he doesn't have any sympathy.
Like, him and Saw are very similar.
Very similar, but different at the same time. And it showed
they're
that in
ruthless. They're doing stuff for the greater good, but like we see in episode 11, like you said, they're willing to sacrifice people.
They're willing to do whatever it takes.
They, not just their deaths, their mental state, their families.
Yeah. So that brings us to episode 11. We're going to go into that. And that's the big discussion point, episode 11. But we'll get to that. So first off, personally, episode 11 I feel was definitely a step down from episode 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to top it off. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Maybe
but I feel
they
like
should have put
like
the prison scene at like episode 11 spot.
That's
like
very
kind of more ended on a high note.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, but then again, who knows how they're going to round it out with episode 12. But I feel like this was just another one of those episodes similar to like 7 or 4 and 5.
Yeah, I agree.
To where you're like, okay, like what's going on?
It was just, bro, it was just more tensions building. They spent most of the entire time, with obviously, Andor's mom, his death, with the ISB, and then with the tensions within, the Republic, like building up. It was, I mean, like, it's necessary. But it feels a little misplaced
for sure
this far in the season.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I was expecting episode 11 to be like equally good. They're going to go into Andor his escape, like how he, what he does after escape, which it does not really as much as I would have liked.
Yeah.
It just shows him get captured by the slime ball, and then later on be like, "Here's a weapon. Let's go our separate ways."
That first of all, that whole beginning part was so weird because first of all, like those aliens, they're not natives, right? I mean, they have his ship,
right?
But like, I don't know if any other like
you can
people
get a
escaped.
heavy price off these two.
Yeah, and they're like, no, by the way, how about you just leave with us and we'll drop you off wherever you want.
Like hundreds, if not thousands, of other prisoners. Like, where did they go? It's just two of them. Like,
and why is Andor hanging on the side of a rock with this dude?
I know, and they're like shaking, and I'm like, what are you doing?
I would have died just falling off
for sure.
But yeah, that was just. It was weird, man. I'm really surprised they didn't try to like fetch him. I know obviously they hated the Empire, right? For the water situation and everything, but it was just weird.
I agree. Like it could have been so cool if I was the director of this particular episode or the writer.
Had him kill him.
You what?
Like had him kill them, and that would have played into the whole theme of sacrifices. Like maybe they weren't evil, but they were unwilling to give them the ship. So that wouldn't have played into like Andor.
I wouldn't even have that plot at all. What I would have done is I would have showed like them running after the escape. And then them getting to a place and sitting down and and then him talking about or thinking back to Kino, and like why he did what he did,
or like some of the other prisoners,
right?
Like I assume the beach or the shore is not that big. Like where did everybody go?
Exactly, there was a bunch of them. Like did they just dissipate? And then of course the ending, he's like, there could be no more left. I'm like, what do you mean?
Like how? I mean, I'll see. Like they were like looking for the prisoners of the ships, right? So maybe they killed them.
I don't know. That's
probably
possible.
They probably just shot him when they saw him.
Still. I feel like that could have been better shown. And then also in this episode what I didn't like is we get Cyril still being Cyril.
I hate that guy. I really do now.
He getting the message from the old sergeant dude, and he's like, yada yada yada. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah.
Andor mom died, so there's just like a bunch of miscommunication.
I know. And he's like, yeah, what? Yeah.
I just don't understand, dude. Why is he so obsessed? We haven't seen enough to believe like any of his obsessions. Like
he just absolutely obsessed with him. It's weird. Like it's a weird kind of obsession.
Weird, bro.
It's not like it's well written.
Very
it's unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just. I don't know. This is probably definitely my least favorite side plot of the entire show.
For sure.
I just don't see how it plays in.
It doesn't make sense. Like I would have killed Cyril off a long time ago.
I know.
Or at least made him like,
I don't know
character.
anybody that likes Cyril either. Like how? I don't know what they're going to do. They're probably just going to throw him in the ISB
and he's still stalking Daedra.
I know.
He's still stalking.
It's so weird, bro. Like,
he's still like, this girl got more information. Not for you.
She needs to kill him. Like,
yeah, for sure. I hope so.
Her powers. Stop following me. Shoot him. Bam.
I know. I hope so.
And then we never see the mom, the annoying mom again.
She's just there. She's like, no, I can't stand her.
I don't like her either.
Yeah.
Dude.
So to move on from that, we see Vale, who's trying to seem to be cutting deals with the one chick.
I'm liking her less and less.
I know, I am too.
I don't like her at all at this point.
I know. It's like she's Mon Mothma's cousin, right?
Yeah.
And then she's trying to make deals with Luthen's companion girl.
Yeah. She's like, bro, just don't come in here and start talking about this. Like, we gotta be secret.
And Belle's all talking to Mothma's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And then she's like, I gotta do it.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it.
She's a hothead, and she has no respect for the rules or for the patience it takes to take down an empire, bro.
It's a patient ordeal. Yeah, Belle, she's gotta die. Like half these characters besides Mon Mothma.
I hope, bro. I do not like her, man.
No.
What purpose is she serving?
No,
I don't understand. And Cinta's too. I'm back on Ferrix. I don't understand what she's doing. Just like being a barista.
I guess. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, of course, she's dealing with all of Marva's death, but still, it's just like I don't really know what's going on with that.
I don't either.
That's the one thing about 11. It's just like it's hard to follow, and it wasn't as good. Wasn't as good.
Also, what was Mothma's daughter like doing? Like, what were they reciting? Because she was clearly disappointed in her. Remember? They were
probably
all around the table.
It's probably something for the Empire. I would assume.
And they're just like repeating the same like two sentences over and over. I'm like, bro, what?
It was
what is
like
this cultist like
Empire? But
chant going on. She obviously wasn't happy, but she gonna sell her daughter out to the one homie, and it's gonna be sad. But I don't. How do you think it's gonna end, man? I mean, we only got one episode left.
That's the thing is,
there was no cliffhanger coming out this one.
I feel like this episode should have been a bit more of a build up for the finale than it was.
I do too.
Like this episode felt like another filler instead of being more a pre to the finale. Didn't have much of a cliffhanger. Didn't give us what we're thinking the finale is going to be like. Honestly, at this point, Andor's kind of become a side plot to Mon Mothma. Yeah, and it's really weird.
What about the Krieger thing? I mean, that was probably my favorite part of 11, right? When Luthen goes to Saw and they're talking about it.
That's the best part.
And that played into the whole like sacrifice thing because they have the decision to pull out 31 men, right? Knowing that they're going to die, but if they do, the ISB is going to be suspicious. So obviously that plays in the whole sacrifice theme. You got to wonder what you would do in that situation. But I can't help but wonder if that whole situation is going to be like the main thing of the next episode. You know,
I think so.
I don't know.
But I don't know how I feel about that being a finale.
I don't either. Well, I mean, at the same time, there's going to be multiple seasons, but I just feel like there should be something bigger.
But at the same time, you have to have a ending to a season. I mean, it's a seasonal show. Yes, it's continuous, but you have to conclude the season 1 story.
Yeah.
So to not do that, it's going to leave fans unsatisfied and less likely to watch season 2.
Season 2.
So what are we going to do? I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's going to be
part of my nerves.
I can't honestly say, man. I don't know.
I feel like we got to see Andor meet up with all these people again, right? Got to come back with Luthen. Got to come back with Bix.
Bix dies. Watch.
You think Bix will die?
Who's going to rescue her?
It's very possible.
He comes back and rescues Bix. Probably. Watch. Remember, because her funeral.
He's going to the funeral. He's going to his mom's funeral. Bix is going to be there for like bait 2.
Yeah.
Cyril is going to kill Bix.
Ooh,
straight up.
All right.
And
the episode ends with him getting captured, probably.
Yeah.
That's such a dumb move going back, though. But they know he's going to do it.
They know he's going to do it.
So he goes back. Happen. He goes back. And on the other side, we see the whole thing with Luthen and Saw and Krieger.
I think that's probably what we're going to get in this episode. But we'll see. So again, like you said, with Luthen and Saw Gerrera, I thought this was the highlight of this episode for me. Because you're having a conversation with 2 ruthless people, for the side of the rebels. And I thought it was interesting to see Luthen threatening Saw Gerrera. Like, I never really... You
thought like Saw Gerrera would be like the bad guy in this situation.
You don't threaten Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
And he did. He's like, he's holding pistols like, you're going to die. You know that, right? And then...
But he was like, this is like so you listen. Because the other guy tried to step in. He's like, listen when I say this.
I thought it was so funny, though, when Luthen's like, He's inside man. He's like, what? What do you mean? No, no.
Just some bull.
And then Songwell's like, what are you talking about, man? What are you doing? That was so funny. I love that.
Well, I don't understand also why Saw Gerrera was so paranoid and angered.
I know
that there could be someone in his camp. Like a large part of that conversation is like, who is it? Who is it?
I know.
Is there somebody here?
Who is the dude?
Why? Like they're working for the same cause. So why is he so upset that he has informants?
Right. It's also cool to see that Luthen has so many informants. He has them all placed and sprinkled throughout the galaxy. Around. I love that part. But my personal favorite part of the episode was, towards the ending was Lupin escaping from the build and then the ship, the Imperial ship coming and him seeing the transmission that he's a ship from Alderaan. Dude, that scene was dope.
He is one cool cucumber, dude. Under all the stress in the world, and he just handled that like a pro.
Like a boss, man.
He buys time by asking them to repeat it. Asks for a fake identity, gets it, tries to, get out of it, but not resist him at all. And then without them even knowing,
and what a good pilot he is too.
He's insane, dude.
I mean, we never seen that kind of level of stuff from considered the best pilot in Star Wars, Han Solo.
Yeah.
But they, of course, didn't have the budget to do that then.
Yeah,
even though it liked, but
honestly, they were surprised because he had tech and weapons.
That's what benefited him.
That no ship, right? It was a whole ship or something like that.
Yes. Like, it was like an AI controlling stuff.
They're like, all right, it's gonna be nothing.
So
special.
like he completely exploded the tractor beam.
Yeah, with those
used lasers to destroy TIE fighters.
Bro, that part. I was laying down in bed watching. I just sat up.
I know.
He locks on, he spins, and the lasers from both sides. We've never seen that in Star Wars.
No, we haven't.
Ever,
not to that extent.
That was clean. So cool, dude.
That was clean.
They're like, all right, this is a major player here.
Yeah, and he just dips. They're just left in shock.
Yeah, bro, what just happened?
I'm like, whoa.
He took out like 5 TIE fighters, dude.
He took out a bunch of TIE fighters, took out the tractor beam. Like, nobody else can do that. That was pretty cool.
Like, dude, he's a threat, man.
Lupin's so dope.
He's a guy.
He's the guy. But watch him end up being watch him be bad. Like, bad. Like, not in the sense of
selfish reasons for taking down the Empire.
Yes. Like,
yeah, maybe he wants to rule, or
I wouldn't say rule, but just kind of be blinded by something that the Empire did to him, to where he's gonna Andor's end up gonna have to kill him or something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
That'd be fire.
Be interesting.
You heard it here first, guys.
Heard it here first. There's a theory. All right, so then of course the episode ends out with Andor and the prisoner friends saying that they need to tell the world what they experienced and that repercussion. So I don't know where that's going to lead.
Yeah, well, obviously that's just going to spark more rebels to the cause, right? Like,
I hope.
Well, we saw what it did with Aldani. Like, it sent people up in flames, dude. It would be the same exact thing. 5,000 people escaping this ISB prison. Like, we're fighting back. Yeah. It's gonna inspire the nation. Just watch.
I would love that. I would for sure love that. But overall, episode 11 was not my favorite, but episode 10 was one of my favorites.
Facts.
I hope it rounds it off in a really good ending in the finale.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download. Our podcast, Here's in the Moment, is available everywhere where you listen to podcasts on. If you want to stay up to date with all of our news and announcements, check out our socials. Instagram at Here's in the Moment, and TikTok at Here's in the Moment with an extra T. Recently, we had our Lay Superhero News 17 and our Black Panther Wakanda Forever movie breakdown, so check those bad boys out.
Yes, and we just want to thank y'all for listening. And not only that, there is no episode Thursday because, of course, the holiday. So go enjoy Thanksgiving with your families. And if you have time, listen to previous episodes. And again, we thank y'all for listening. We love you 3000.